Hello world, this is Drek, and today I will be going over Golem, which will be coming up pretty soon here. So I've been searching around on the internet, found a bunch of different little references, watched a couple of videos here and there to see what he's like, and I'll be kind of just going over the best units to use for him, what you get for him, and basically the main strategy that you should be using. Let's add some side music here just so it's not so dead. At least that doesn't get copyrighted by YouTube. So let's start with this Raids and Trial roadmap, which has a nice little list of the events that are coming up, along with a very easy display to see what items we'll be getting. So the Defense Bracer is going to be a somewhat decent item. It's not much better than a lot of the other things we have been getting. The 25% Disable Resist is going to be nice. 25% Missile Resist for the first 3 turns. It's +5 is also, that's a fairly good one, and that one is going to be what makes this a useful item to counter those missile teams, especially on those maps that will have the missile attack up if you do not have missiles, or even if you do have missile units and they do have those kind of maps where the missile units get more damage. This will help negate that and keep you alive for those first 3 turns, which are crucial in a PvP map where you basically in the first couple moves move in and kill somebody, or move in and end up dying. So then of course the Elf's Cloak, if you missed it here the last raid, which I completely missed it and farmed as Thasma, so that's what I might be aiming for after the ring. The ring is more important for me, the Alexandrite ring, which is very nice. I'm going to be farming just for that. So here's some of the suggested units. Halloween Layla, which is limited time, so most people probably didn't get her. Howlet, which isn't limited time, and those are the 2 elements for wind that they recommend, and then magic casters. So one nice thing about this is he is going to be a weak to magic type enemy, so any magic units you have you can put into a team and you should be able to do well against him. We'll cover that more later. There's a nice page I have that has all the details on him. We'll just take a very quick look at the other things that are going to be coming up very fast. Another Ribbon Trial rerun here. With this, these will be the units that get the bonuses and the vision cards. They're adding vision cards as well to the bonuses for this one. So you don't have to have just the units, which is kind of nice because you probably won't have Halloween Ryu, and you might not have the limited time Halloween card there as well, unfortunately. Ruin Stern here. So I'll make another video later once this is kind of closer together about how to best do that. We'll be fighting Diablo here as well later on, and he's going to be a dark element. He gives a nice robe with maybe even better than Thasma's magic if you use the right base. Like Magician who just has a ton of base magic on them, they could get more than 60 magic, which is going to be a massive amount. And there's not really much of a downside to it if you get the +0/+0. As for this defense bracelet, I would say the shield version is probably the best version they have here. The vital just doesn't give enough vitality, and the aim only gives 15. It's not like a ridiculous amount. I would say if you really need aim, go aim, but most of the time you're going to want shield for this one, because if you're going against missile units, I don't think they have a magic bow person who shoots magic arrows yet, so they're going to be doing that physical arrow damage. You're going to want the physical defense on this to help raise that resistance. 16% damage reduction from high defense is going to be nice if they don't have piercing, which they might have, so it might not be that much. And then, so after these 3 events here, we're most likely going to see the collab, because it's going to be, it might not be, but it's probably going to be just right after the Diablo here, or right around the same time, mid-March-ish. And the item we'll see is Titus's necklace, which is honestly a really fucking good item for Titus, because he does a lot of crit damage, and the magic resist is also a nice bonus, but 15 crit damage is a nice boost to his already crazy amount of crit damage. So I'm going to just kind of fast go through these. The Santa's Close is a buff to all evade teams. With the 29 evade, the dodge is the only one to really go for in that Santa's Close. If you're going to build for defense or spirit, get a different item. That's my suggestion there on that. Brigadine for Glacial's one. I've been starting to prepare for her, even though there's a lot of other raids in between. So it's not bad to start building these teams ready like ahead of time. So 10% AoE resist with the Brigadine, very useful. Chocolate pudding earrings. It's from this guy. He's far into the future here. And these are going to be the bonus units for that, so you'll get more medals if you're using these two. And you might be looking at Raldor going, well, why the fuck is he in there? It's simply because the Tomberry is ice, and it's weak to strike. So he's the recommended unit, and he's the one they're giving a bonus to. Halloween Layla, of course, is the large one. Howlet is the medium one. He's the one I might start trying to build here right away. I'll go over my team a little bit later. Old Leonis, so they give the first and second element, so it's wind first, you know, fire the next after that. But most of these lower tier units you will have or have access to, so we won't bother with the rest of those. But for the Golem, if you have Halloween Layla and you have Howlet, you should have no trouble, like, one person solo killing this boss, and that is the goal we want to get to here. We want to be able to solo farm this boss, because it won't cost you any of those orbs if you can solo one-shot this boss, and you'll be able to farm up the most from this. So the Golem raid, some of these might be a little bit, it's from a Japanese site, and it is just Google translated. The Golem boss raid has high physical resistance and low magic resist, so it's easy to pass the magic resistance if you use a magic attack. Especially with wind element characters, which are unfortunately a huge limitation on the amount of those. And if you can't organize a magic party, piercing attack resistance is at 10%, so that's not the worst. You could make an all-piercing team, you know, with Kane, Glacial, and a few other Lancers just to get through it, Victora, whoever else you have. I think Old Leonis is also a Piercer, so you could make a 4-person Pierce team that could take care of him. So his big threat is he has a huge AoE, however, it's high power attack with Earth attribute. It is not powerful enough to be, I'm pretty sure that's mistranslated, so probably doesn't wipe you out unless you're a lightning attribute unit. So if you are lightning, you probably don't want to bring that person along. You probably want to find someone else or build someone else right now while you can. So you don't need to use defensive abilities, so this means you can focus on attacking, and if you have an Ildira or someone like that, even if you do get somewhat low, they can take a turn to heal you up. The stage, this is what it's going to look like. So this is going to be your first position right here, and that's the position that will run over here and kill all 4 of the little ads. And you're going to have the Golem here, so you're going to have all your units move in and hopefully just wipe the floor with this Golem. And it won't be too much, so it does say here, the first character auto goes to the earth elements, so that's the first character, they'll auto that. And the recommended one is Medea, Sakura, or Ildira in this first slot, so that they can go there and they can AoE all of them, which they do have the range for. So if you have those ones, put them in your first slot when you're building your AoE, or building your team, so they can AoE everything. So enemy details and countermeasures. So these are his details, like his specific page. So let's, whoops, I guess that opens it up. So it has hit point plus 999%, and these are his stats. Of course, you can't tell too much about that, but that's his magic resist spirit right there, that's his regular defense right there, I'm pretty sure. Given, I could be wrong on that, let's hit the back button. Any details and countermeasures. That's a level 1 version, right? So, of course, that's going to be different from the level 100 version. So let's take a look what he is immune to here. Looks like everything. He is not immune to slow, so you can slow him. 10% resist or weakness to wind. Though not using wind isn't the hugest deal breaker in the game, minus 15% to magic. So magic is the one. Arrows and missiles are not going to be the recommended. Same with slashing, although you are going to find people who are still going to go slash teams and still able to do it because they'll have a ridiculous team built. That's just how it is. These little guys don't really matter, so we're not going to pay attention to them. So the Tomberry has fairly low resistance to hits, so any fisting character can do good. Bonus character, Lardo and Eld. Attacks such as Zyza are easier to attack. Magic attack is okay, so he's somewhat not too resistant, just 5% to magic, so you could just keep your magic team and probably kill the Tomberry as well. And there aren't very many fire type characters that do that, and surprisingly Human Killer is going to be effective against this Tomberry because he is effective as a human card. So Odin will work on him, and a couple other Human Killer cards, as well as Human Killer Espers, will work against the Tomberry. This is the map setup. Tomberry is going to be in the middle, then 2 adds. Your party will be on the outside here. We can take a look at his details here as well. And let's see what he's immune to. It looks like he can be blinded, but everything else is basically immunity to. That's kind of what you see. Has strong resistances. Crap, I clicked it. So it looks like he has magic and physical resistances, and the punching is 15% effective, only 5% magic. Fire is down 10. If you do have Raldor, you can easily 4-person this with 4 Raldors and just wreck the Tomberry's tiny little face. And since those only go up to level 10, those side raids aren't too bad, but they do give a ton of medals. They are very useful for it. So the recommended characters for Golem, of course, are going to be Little Layla, Howlet, and even Helena Leonis. She does have a really useful ability that lowers all elemental resistances. I wonder if it... Oh, and D-Shell. Don't forget D-Shell can also lower the spirit. And it does seem to work against this boss, so that is going to be very useful to do. And recommended vision cards. Typhoon, I do not have him, but he does give magic up, and when attribute characters get more shit for them. 4 Heavenly Wind Tetrasulfate is a huge boost to that. Thundering Roar, I do have him, but he's low level. Same with this one here. I have this, like, whatever it is, Trucidea or whatever it is. It's a huge boost to that. If you are running a spear team, though, this card is good for it. If you don't have it, there are a couple other options, but it's Pierce attack up 35, and quickness here just means agility up. It's quickness here in the translation, but that's what that means. So the Tomberry recommended characters for these guys. So I do have Rain leveled up all the way. I may just go with Rain because he is level 99 from the last raid here. So I will probably go with him to help kill this Tomberry. Lardu, I have 600 of his shards, but I don't have him, so I won't be going for him. He is the best character for this, and he does receive the bonus, so extra medals, which on the Tomberry is very nice to have. So vision cards for the Tomberry, Ifrit, of course, it's the highest attack up you can get with fire attack bonus. Jet Black Rebels, which is, I think, Scions of whatever. Curse of Dirt Morbol, I like the name of that one and that, but this is the Marboral one, which increases your fisting, and there is not very many other ones that do increase fisting currently. And of course, Odin here, which gives the Human Killer up, is also a good one. And that's most of what this covers here. The bonus rate here for Little Layla is big, and for whatever his name is also big. The Flame Fister guy. Owlet is going to be medium sized. Same with Helena Leonis. She is also going to... Oh wait, no. Elderly. Yeah, I don't know who that's talking about right there. We've seen them before. Previously here. Old Leonis is what it means. That's what that meant. Okay. So that covers those things, and that's basically everything you need to know about that. I'm going to be jumping over here. It's a better view for that. So just show you kind of what I'm building with my team for this upcoming raid, which is, again, going to probably be in within 2 weeks of right now. So you're going to want to start focusing on these. So that also means putting your party into teams and start running them through quests to build up affinity. So Howlet, like I said, I don't have him very high, so I might switch him out for anyone else who has magic. So I might put Rain in the battle and just switch on some of his abilities that raise up the magic damage. He might be my go-to instead of Howlet. I would prefer Howlet because he does have the large bonus. However, to get him up there within a couple weeks, I may not realistically be able to do that and have him reliable damage-wise, because he only has... I still need 160 plus 200, so 360 shards for him. I'm probably going to just say this right now, I won't be using him. I don't have him built for it just enough. He is one of the most recommended characters in there. So I will most likely be switching him to Rain, and I do have Rain's sword at least. And always make sure you're putting the right espers on your units when you're leveling them. That level 10 resonance is huge for the amount of damage you can do with it. And as for vision cards, these are the ones I'll be going with because I do not have nearly as many magic ones. Like my Trusea is, I believe, only 1 star. I can get it up there with some more of these medals here. I'll probably get it to 2 or maybe even 3 stars. It's really depending on how that goes. Shiva I am going to have equipped, and it's not for the evasion, it's because of the 170 magic attack up it gives. And that is the only reason I'm going to be putting that on. It's my highest magic attack up card. And then also, I'll be using the Envious Magician because it does give 25% magic up and lowers cast time, and 112 here. I may be able to get it up here. I'm only a few shards away, so my goal will be to get that one up all the way. Shiva is maxed, and then I'll try to level this one up a bit more, and it should be good enough to get through, and Golem should be able to be one-shotted with a team such as this. You're going to be looking at any unit who has magic, so put your filter on, take a look at everyone who has magic, and some people aren't going to be viable. Obviously, you're not going to want to use Agris, she's not going to be a magic damage dealer, and Salier, even though she's a great mage, her lightning element is going to make her too much of a liability, especially if you're trying to auto this raid. You want to be able to just hit auto on it, and that's that. It's going to do itself, give you a ton of medals, and you have to put in very little effort. That is the goal of this. That's what we honestly want to see the most. So you might suggest putting in someone else, like Yasholta, instead of, Salier. Now, you can also put in a couple others. You might not want to put in the super rare characters just because they do not have that high hit point. I would suggest at worst use a mythic rare character and your ultra rare characters, and that's just because of the hit point difference, and the stat differences are pretty noticeable. You can get away with using some mythic rares if you equip them good and you have like high hit point up ones, because that's the biggest deal they have. They have low hit points, so they end up getting one-shotted immediately. So you want that high hit point item, such as a platinum robe or whatever you can get. One character to probably consider using is Helena Leonis. I will be trying to level her up for sure. She does get the small bonus too, so that's even more of a reason to do it. But one of the nice things she has is an ability that I'll hop over and show you. It lowers all magic resistance. It's called Imperil. Most green mages do have it. It's small damage based on your magic. It is going to be the only wind element she has. That is the downside to her. But it does lower all elemental resistances for 3 turns, so if you have other people hitting, it's going to do a lot of damage, and while this is only 3 casts, it will work, and then you can also cast Comet, which won't do as much damage, because it is going to be a neutral element. And I think that's all she has for damages, but she does have D-Shell, which is going to be a huge bonus to damage, so you're going to want to D-Shell with her, and Imperil to lower his stats, if he can have his elemental resistance lowered. I don't know if he can. If he can't, the D-Shell and the damage from Imperil alone should be enough to make you consider using Helena Leon as one of your main 4 characters. She is also mythic rare, so it shouldn't be hard to get her, and even if you can't get her maxed by that time, I might just purchase 1 or 2 of the little packets that give you 150 of the shards, and I might do a couple days of farming her just to get enough of those shards. Because that's the big thing, you can also just spend a day or 2 farming just the mythic rare shards. Normally you want to do the ultra rares, however, for the next raid here, she will be very useful, and she is a useful unit in PvP, such as right now I would prefer to have her over Phoebe, but I do not have her leveled up as you saw, so she is not going to be one of the ones I use. You may also want to consider who you have leveled up. So Medea, even though she isn't the favorite for a lot of people, she is a strong mage. She is easy to max. I believe I can get her maxed in the next couple days without investing anything into her, because her shards are available through the guild medal shop and through hard quests. I've mostly gotten her maxed, and it's going to pay off here on this current raid. If you can, get a Yaka maxed. She is going to be a very good choice for this as well, being a wind unit. I don't know how many wind spells she does have to use, but I'll take a quick look at that. She is going to be good though, because even if she doesn't have that, she does have... I could get her probably to 89 here, potentially. The problem, of course, is that's just potentially. I can easily max her out to awaken her, so she could be level 89 for the raid. That may be good enough for her. So any of these ruin spells, unfortunately, do not have an element. They won't do extra damage. Same with meteors. The problem with her, I believe, is that she's not going to have very many actual wind element attacks. She does have D-Shell as well though, so you can use D-Shell. I do not actually see any wind element attacks on her, so she might not be the best choice for that, but if you do have her maxed, she is a, useful unit. Because even if you don't have her maxed, you're not going to have a full wind team, so you're not going to be focusing on the element. It's just an extra little bonus to the damage. You're most likely going to be stacking holies or, non-elemental damage attacks on Golem here. So having her and a bunch of other people who do holy or, non-elemental will build the combo better than having wind units will in the end. The bonus to having her in your party is that she is wind, so she is going to be resistant to the damage that he does, and she is a great healer. You don't want to spend too many times using Quicken because that will eat your turns away, so you may want to disable that and just focus on having her do damage. Just turn on nothing but the damage, and that's something you're going to have to do. You're going to have to focus on going through the abilities and clicking the ones on and off that are going to be useful and the ones that are going to be useless. Another great choice is the Staff Mage right here. She is very tanky, very strong, and she has a lot of non-elemental damages, so her earth element doesn't really matter. She's going to take reduced damage from him because of that. They're going to share the element, so he won't do as much damage to her, but she will do a ton of damage to him. Consider leveling her up or focusing on her if you don't have her. That's another good choice here. Howlet, of course, he's the number one choice. Pick him, level him up as much as you possibly can. For mythic rares, I don't know if Cadio would be the best choice. She is wind element. You could try to make just a full wind element team. However, if you're going full wind element magic, you're going to be very limited. And you probably won't have enough survivability, I would say, and enough damage to do it with that. But just going pure magic, so Ildira, Asakura, not her because she's just gonna die too fast. But a Yusholta, a Medina, those four would probably be able to one-shot kill this guy as long as you have somewhat good items for them. I'll have a Soul of Thamasa somewhat built by the time this comes around, and I do have the staffs. That's a +5, that's a +5. That's only a +4, so I may be able to build that up some more. Of course, Rain has his ultimate weapon. Currently ultimate weapon max magic right now, so that is good. And I'll be able to set him up so he does more magic damage if I can't get the unit quite right. I'm going to put Helena Leonis in this formation because she's the one I'm going to actually try to build. I can put her up and get her up not too bad here. So that's my video. Hopefully it helps you decide kind of what to do here. I'll be making a raid video probably a couple weeks after this one for the next raid because you always need to be informed about which raids are coming up, what to do, who to build. This game really throws a lot of characters at you and makes you invest into them a lot. I of course wasn't forced to invest into Venera here, but I like her, so I'm going to be investing into her. So hopefully you start building those characters and you have somewhat of a team built up. 2 weeks is plenty of time to get all of your affinity up and your resonance with your espers and the 4 team members you're gonna have. That's going to be huge. Do not underestimate that. Build that up. Get them running on those story missions over and over, repeat them, even if they're just stupid story missions. Get them to farm something you need, like some green materials, something they can quickly clear, get done, and just build up that affinity, because you need a ton of battles to build it up, like 1,000 or something. So you're going to have to just set it to auto run, because most likely you don't have these 4 magic members fully affinitied up and ready to go today. But 2 weeks from now, should have them built up. You should have the Esper affinity, the character affinity, and they should be leveled up to a decent level, hopefully 99, 89 at the worst case, and that should still hopefully be enough to get you through this. Just make sure you build up your equipment as much as you can and get prepared for this. Get those vision cards up just a little bit even just level 2 or 3 is going to be a huge difference. +4 or 5 is probably unrealistic for most people at the 2-week deadline. That's going to be pretty hard to do, so just focus on getting it up a little bit if you can. Use some of these medals to invest, because they do have a lot of good medals here, and you can purchase whatever you need out of the vision card slot here. You can get what you need for most of those vision cards. As you see, I did purchase the 200 medals for this. It's also what I purchased the last winter, and it is a huge bonus to your account. It's worth considering, but I'm not going to recommend it if you're free to play. Continue being free to play. Don't invest money into this if you don't want to. You can still get ready for this, no problem without that. So good luck to you all out there. Hopefully you can get this ready and get auto farming this next raid here. I was not ready for the Siren raid. I kind of got good enough to get some of my rewards, not all of them. This next raid I'm hoping to be 100% ready for, and hopefully get 2 or 3 fucking Alexandrite rings +5. We'll see about that though. Alright, see you guys later.